We're live! It's alive!
Only Joe.
Only just. There's definitely a lot of...
How hot is it? I'm sat here in my pants. It is so hot. It's so hot. Oh, I'm wet through. Leave it.
It is warm. It is very, very warm.
Oh God, it is. It's too warm for everybody. There's nobody here. It's just too warm. There's only Solar Star talking to me.
It's funny, you know.
Oh, it's not funny. It's not funny. Kev's here. Kev's in the house. Kev! Hello. I think I'm hysterical. I might want hitting, smacking, slapping.
As an alternative, I could get some words in.
In where?
Oh, never mind. Do you want the camera on you?
No. I've told you, I'm naked. I'm sat in my pants. Nobody wants to see that.
It's funny, you know, because of the kind of work I do, I spend a lot of time talking to people who work in other countries. You can only see me from the armpit up, so you know it's all good. And those of us in England will be talking about how warm it is, and it's sweltering, and we might casually say, how hot is it where you are, Ankita? Let's just say, it's 37. I'm like,
yes.
So yes, it's a cool day.
The franchise I work for, the owners are Asian, and the owner's sister works in the business, and she said today, gosh, it's so hot. And I said, are you really warm? She went, yeah. She said, I can't stand your heat. It's horrible. It really dries out everything. And I thought, that is very true. She says, it's so drying. It's just horrible.
Humidity is a factor. Is a factor indeed. Yes. Where are you going, Kat? You might see a tail in a minute. Oh, I think there was a tip of an ear there. No, she's turning around. Because that's what you want when you're trying to cool down. A furry animal laying on you. Who's now trying to clean her genitals in front of me. Thanks, Kat. You know, there's something to be said for a time and place. Yeah, move on to your toes. That's more. That's more dignified. It's mesmerizing.
You wish you could do it, don't you?
Well,
I'm sure she'd let you. Especially if you give her one of the sticks she likes.
You got me.
Oh dear. Sorry, everybody.
So, I don't know if there is a usual format anymore. There's not really a ramble subject, but we'll have a ramble about. Oh, excuse me. About stuff that we've done, which probably isn't very much, and have some kind of hobby-related ramble. Apparently, there are some newses about a thing called Warhammer 10th edition. So there's maybe some of those. It's
something like roulets or something.
Yeah, roulets.
Roulette.
Roulette. Is it like roulade?
Yeah, it's just like it's like an individual roulade.
A roulette.
A roulette. That's what you're having next time you come round. Make a roulette.
Just give me a
Sorry, I'm coughing because of my hay fever. Because there's a hay fever bomb.
I still need it.
It's up my nose.
I mean roulade.
Get on with it. Strange person.
So, what's been happening in Hobbyland recently? Not a huge amount. We've not had a bat rep on for a couple of weeks, but we have a new one lined up and good to go on Monday, which will be hitting the tubes. Be the two parts of the Soul of Nexus 2. I know I've mentioned those before, and it was originally due to go up last Monday, but didn't. It was going to go up next Monday, which is good. Looking forward to sharing that. That's the last two games of 9th edition, and I think that'll finish just before the Leviathan boxes are out. Now Lemmy's got her foot on the trackpad. She's moving the cursor. Oh, she's stopped.
Got to have somewhere to put a leg.
She's trying to take control of the interwebs. So they're coming soon. Painting wise, I've done quite a bit, and I haven't done quite a bit. I have, and I haven't. I have, and I haven't. So I finished painting my Iron World Arsenal for my Cities of Sigmar for the Siege of Excelsis. Decided to do all of them in their own colour pattern to distinguish them on the battlefield from the different Free Guild regiments we're going to have. I have decided that whilst I am apprehensive that GW might be getting rid of all the units I'm painting, I've decided I don't care. And for the purposes of the Siege of Excelsis, which will go on probably for another 12 months, if they do get rid of them, I'm going to use them anyway with the stats they have right now. So I don't care about that. So I'm just pressing ahead.
Oh,
so,
you rebel.
I know. So I got those all painted there in a nice, I was going to say red and blue. It's not the right colour, right? Nice blue and white. Nice blue and white pattern with a cogsmith also in blue and white. There, laddies! Fire over there! Not that way around! Etc.
They don't speak Jamaican, do they?
Some. Then I've moved on to I'm currently trying to do a batch paint of a Free Guild General on Griffin, a Amber Wizard on a double-headed Griffin, and a unit of Demi-Griff Riders. So at the moment, I've just painted all of their leggage in the same colour scheme. And actually, no, I'm in the middle of the doing the armour on the Demi-Griffs. But they're a bit of a batch. They'll probably be a couple of weeks getting through those. But then that's unlocked a couple of the future games that are coming up. Then I am onto the Trog Herd. I've got about a dozen Trogs to paint to get the Trog Herd up to speed. Then that's everything done for Chapter 2. Now, what are you doing, Lemmy? She's trying to take us off air. But before that, I did quite a bit of painting for my Star Wars Legion, which I'm really enjoying. Since I'm trying to remember what I'd done when we all last spoke, when we last did the streaming thing. Either way, since then, I've painted Iden Verso and Inferno Squad, as well as a unit of Imperial not Imperial Specialists, what are they called? Special Forces. I did those. I did a couple of Darth Vaders because they were in different stances. And, black, red, lights, done. What else? There was more in that batch. There were two
wrestlers
things. Dewback Riders. I've decided that whilst law-wise, strictly speaking, they are only native to Tatooine, I have decided that that will work. I can stretch that to desert worlds. I'm happy enough that they can be native to any miscellaneous desert world, so it does give me the opportunity to use them. I also spent quite a while scouring various different sites, trying to find some alternate crew for the E-Weber Heavy Blaster, because the only ones you can get are in the ice gear, and the paint job can't hide that. The paint job cannot hide the ice gear, so I found a place in the States doing alternate crew. Well, actually, to be fair, it was the whole alternate model, but I'm not going to use the whole model. I'm just going to use the crew in regular Stormtrooper gear to be able to use those with my other Stormtroopers. And there were other units I painted. I'm sure there was another unit or something that I did. But clearly my memory is telling me not. So that's fine. We have a member chat from Muldis, member for 10 months. How do you recover from a hobby burnout? I've just not been able to paint anything since painting 50 plus squigs for the Crimson Conflux.
Did look great though.
They look great.
They look great. Yeah.
They look great, and they boinged. They totally boinged. Hobby burnout is a fact. Hobby.
You do realise that can eject you from the room, don't you? You really do realise that you could be a goner in about 5 seconds.
She's the moderator. I mean,
you do realise that. Just check in.
Right click, eject.
Gone.
Yes. The way I deal with hobby burnout is not to try and force it, because if you try and push through it, what I find is I make less progress. I'm more disappointed with myself and get stressed about it. So when I feel the burnout, I do as little as possible. I mean, my situation is a little different because I've got the channel, but even so, I still do as little actual hobby as I can, and I play a couple of games, or I might even not. I might even go a stretch where I don't put much out. That's the reason why I stopped doing the commercial side of it. But yeah, don't try and force it. Is my advice. And then if you ignore it and pretend it isn't there, one evening, one day, you'll just go, do you know what? I fancy doing such and such. And it's kind of grown back in the background. They're my thoughts, my advice. I'm still trying to remember what else of the Imperial Flavor Persuasion I painted. But I can't, so that's that. I put together a lot of Rebel stuff because the Claw really wants to use his Empire, and so what we're doing is we're playing through a little campaign with me with my Empire, and he's using his Rebels, and then I'm going to switch to building up my Rebels, and he can build up his Empire, and then at some future point we're definitely going to be doing Clone Wars. Roger. And that's mostly what I've hobby been up to. I did spend quite a while trying to work out with Star Wars Legion what all the cards were about, and how having a card collection that basically was the army book. I'm like, how can I read this as a book? So I looked for sleeves for the cards, and that was fine for the big ones. They're fairly standard size. But the small ones, not a fairly standard size. You couldn't get many big sleeves. So in the end, I found a company doing them in America for baseball cards. and so I imported a bunch of those so I can get them in big sheets. Then the Claw found an awesome website with an army building thing on it, and I'm like, oh, I'm in there anymore. No, I exaggerate. I do need it. I always need it. I want it. Yes, we does, precious. That's kind of what I've been up to. How about Crimson? What's Crimson been up to? You've been doing other kinds of hobby-related stuff, haven't you?
Yeah, it's my summer fair season. So I go along to the summer fairs and make all the kids look pretty.
What kind of things do you do at those? It's hair stuff, isn't it?
It's hair stuff. It's anything to do with glitter. The kids love it. It's all for charity. So I do glitter tattoos, henna tattoos, hair braiding, painting nails, all that sort of thing. Makes the kids look pretty, and it's all for charity. So that's what I do. And this is my busy season. So, but schools call me back time and time again. So, yeah, I always am busy at this time. So nothing hobby-wise, unfortunately. So, yeah, thank you. It's my mouse, so to speak. So, no, I've not. But obviously, I've got Paul Fest in the background as well. So that's kind of where I've been this week.
That's my dad's name.
What? I love it. Thank you, Josh.
So there's a question on there. Is it all right if I...
You go for it.
Okay,
yeah.
So Mark Ramsden is asking, Orcs in 10th, are you excited for that? Kinda, yeah. The looking at... So just to be clear, I haven't seen the rules for everything in advance. The ones that I've put videos up of are the ones that I've seen. I'm not getting to see everything in advance. So I've no idea what's coming for Orcs, and I had no idea what was coming for Chaos when they came out today. Had a look at the the Chaos Marines, and I am going somewhere with this relative to Orcs. And one of the things that it occurred to me, I thought what they would do would be is it a detachment? Is that the terminology they're using? There would be a detachment per legion. So you would have something different, because it was only a page per detachment, a page or 2 pages. So you'll be able to have something distinctly different for the different Chaos Legions, but they have not done that. Maybe they'll do that in the codices. I don't know. And I have some thoughts on that, but that isn't the question I'm answering. But the way they did that wasn't to do, and this is how it will work for this army, this is how it will work for this army, this is how it will work for this army. It was all pretty generic, and they differentiated things with marks of chaos. I am really hopeful they do something similar with the Orc Codex, with the Orc Index and the Orc Codex, I suppose, because I'm sure I've said on the channel a number of times, I'm not a big fan of the mono-clan armies, because orcs live in tribes and tribes consist of clans, and clans are just orcs with the same genotype who club together. So tribes have got, they've got Death Skulls, they've got Evil Sons, they've got Blood Axes, they've got Goths, they've got a lot. And yes, in large tribes, you will get big groups of Goths, and you can use those as okay, this is just the Goths, and that is fine, and that's cool. I prefer to try and represent a variety, and what I am hopeful for is based on what I've already seen, there won't be anything in the rules that would try and restrict me from having multiple orc clans in the same army without having to resort to house rules. Because in 9th, I basically went with, they get the stats for whatever colour they're painted. If they look like snake bites, they're getting the stats of snake bites. End of. And I can do that, and that works for me for the game, but it doesn't work for everyone in the audience. And I like to try and be as inclusive as I can. It's also nicer to not have to work around the rules in order to have fun, which was the sort of the strapline of 9th edition. Warhammer 40,000 9th edition, you have to work around the rules in order to have fun. I'm hoping very much that 10th goes the other way, and either the orcs have got some other way of differentiating them, like, I don't know, like marks of chaos, for instance, in the chaos thingy, you can apply those to any unit. Maybe orc clan could be applied to any unit. You have a mix and match, and you go, yeah, these are yellow and black, they're clearly bad moons. Or there's just no special rule for different clans, and it's merely the flavor and the narrative of the army you play. So I'm hoping that it's either of those things. And based on what we've seen so far, I can't really imagine it being that different from that. I can't sort of... It feels unlikely that GW will lean back from doing that on some of the very popular armies, but push it on some of the others. Doesn't ring true to me. One moment. So hot. Chaining the cola. Although it's the caffeine-free cola, so, hydration.
Not really.
What?
Not really.
How do you mean?
Water's much better.
It is better. Well, it's the caffeine that's a diuretic, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think I answered that question.
Okay. Do you want one on sport?
I'll try. Which sport?
No,
Go on. I'll have one on sport. It'll be
no,
quick.
I'm only joking. This is from Moog. Did you read it?
No.
Imagine, if you will, that through the figures of warp travel, a company of word bearers from just after the glazing of Monarchia encounters a word bearers warband from the 40th era. Would they be appalled?
Okay. So that's an interesting question. That's not Moog just saying, "Ooh, bananas."
Oh no, I can tell.
That's an actual question.
Tell.
That one.
That's why I've read it out.
No, you've done well.
I'm getting wise to it.
You're doing well there. So, would a
Splitting the upside rule.
All right, I'll come back to that. Would a warband of would a company of word bearers who got lost in the warp just after the humiliation at Monarchia at the hands of the Ultramarines, what would he think of word bearers in the 40th millennium who have fallen to chaos in a big way? Well, I guess it would depend, in my opinion, on how long. I think there are a few factors, actually. How long after the humbling at Monarchia we're talking? Because Aurelian basically went off on a crusade to prove there were gods. And he was kind of despondent with the way he'd been treated by the emperor, but he didn't really, from what I remember, have the total emperor hate at that point. He just knew there was something and was desperate to find it. I think the key factor would be to do with whether or not this group had heard Lorgar talk about the Emperor in a negative way. If he'd already had that realization, because his men worship him almost as a god. They take his lead on everything, and he led their collective faith in the direction of chaos. I think, what has he said? He didn't. They discovered not that the Emperor wasn't an all-powerful being, simply that he was not worthy of their reverence. They found something else that was. So I think it would depend on whether or not those word bearers had that experience with Lorgar or not. Because I would imagine if they hadn't heard it from his own lips, the word bearers would not accept Lorgar's extreme changing view. Because it's something that will have evolved over time. They didn't all just wake up one morning and he went, "Surprise! I don't like the Emperor anymore. We're going to go and kick over his sandcastle." That came on over a long period of time. That was a very gradual transformation. So I think now I'm talking it through. I think they will be appalled with the 40k initially appalled with the 40k era word bearers because they haven't had that gradual drip, that gradual erosion of their faith in the Emperor or their belief in what's right. But then potentially over time, they will start asking questions. Well, how did our brothers become like this? And down that road are arguments like, well, they were as devout as we were. What could have happened to shaken their faith? Would Lorgar have allowed it to happen? Had he seen it? He must have been part of it. There's a logical path there that could take them to the conclusion that actually this is the way. You could argue that either way, I think. Interesting hypothetical question, which is now concluded. Hit me. I don't like the sound of that laugh.
Hill42 says from Discord, also, what would they think of the Black Templars?
They look at the Black Templars and go, hang on, they leveled cities when we did that. What the F is going on? There's a massive slice of hypocrisy going on here. Or words to that effect.
And then Moog says, would they look at the Emporium and suppose Horus won the war?
Look at it, yeah. It would be quite difficult to work out. Well, Horus won the war. I guess you don't know. That with the exception of probably a few hundred, a few thousand people, virtually no one will see the Emperor and live, only his image. So there's no way of knowing that the Emperor now isn't just Horus. Uh-oh. Yeah, I think it would be pretty difficult to tell. Yeah, you would expect there to be a lot more flayed corpses and charnel houses about the galaxy if Horus had won. But then again, that kind of thing burns itself out. No pun intended. Because this is my rationale for saying the emperors, the world eaters, aren't a constantly psychotic bunch of bloodletters. Because if they were, they would kill all their servants, all their crew serfs. The starships can't operate without crew. Their weapons and armor can't be maintained. They still have a significant amount of tactical nous. They just lose their stuff when the nails bite. And it's the same principle. If chaos has been that rife and the galaxy is burned, then it'll burn itself out unless something else grows up out the ashes. And what's to say that what is here now isn't grown up from the ash of that war? Interesting. But I fear my head may pop. So we'll move on to something slightly different in a moment.
Sorry, I was just blowing my nose. Josh Arnold says, I just want 10th to not require a codex, a rule book, a supplement, a narrator, and others just for field one army. Just to field one army. It's all right.
Amen.
Yeah. He also says that waking up and suddenly being the most evil is basically how Horus woke up after being a bit poorly.
Well, he was struck down by an anatheme, which is probably
poorly.
Reads as a bit poorly. But you are right. It was a total sort of metaphorical overnight change in his psyche, but that was as a result of the corruption of the anatheme, stoked by Erebus's personality and exacerbated by Magnus's attempts to save him by disobeying him a lot. One of the number of things that he did wrong. I said it.
You went there.
I went there.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, I must try and save my brother, by using the thing that he expressly forbade you to use. Yes. That will be self-evident by the fact that you've done it. Yes. Okay, right. That might work. But then when I get there and I find a guy I don't like, I'm going to use more of the stuff again and 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 again, just to illustrate how much I don't care about the laws my father put in place, and exposing myself as a hypocrite. Just at the time that my brother really needed to believe in someone. Bugger. One of the things Magnus did wrong.
Sarcastic Monkey says, I don't know Sarcastic Monkey is here because he generally says hello when he is, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So, but he says, anything besides the CP reroll
Okay.
that you do differently in 10th? What's a CP reroll?
Command point reroll.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what that means.
Things that I would do differently in 10th. I don't know if you mean the way I would write the 10th ed rules differently, or if you're asking me what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. It
says you will do. So anything besides the CP reroll, you will do differently in 10th.
Yeah, there are a few things. There's the restriction of of stratagems to once per phase. I'm still going to ignore that. There's the limit of 1 on pluses and minuses on dice rolls. That makes no narrative sense, so I won't be doing that. And the weird rule on cover that if you have a 3+ save, you don't gain the benefit of cover unless you're being shot at by a weapon that's got AP better than of 1 or better. Basically, a game mechanic that means you can't get a 2+ save in cover. It makes absolutely no logical sense. The only sense it makes is as a game balancing mechanic, which is absolutely not what I want. So those are things that I will be ignoring that I've found so far. Not that, in fact, a little less, I think, than the previous edition, because the characters and units thing has been resolved. The multiple use of psychic powers has been resolved by taking away the psychic phase. Yeah, I probably won't pay attention to the you can only ever gain 1 CP a turn. Probably won't pay attention to that because it makes no sense. If you've paid for 3 units that happen to do it, why should 2 of them not work? No. But what I won't be doing is building lists based around abusing that rule. So it doesn't make any real difference to what I do. Can't think of anything else that I'm aware of off the top of my head. Percentage limits are things that I will probably be quite flexible on. You know, like, if it's only 25% of this or such and such of that, or maximum of 3 of these. If it feels right from a narrative point of view, I'll do it. If it doesn't, I won't.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Josh Arnold, new question. What do you want ADB to include in the end?
The end and the death.
The end and the death. I couldn't read beyond that. And the end of the death, part 2. Just finished part 1 and enjoyed it.
So I haven't read part 1. I'm also not familiar with it. The only thing I can assume from the reference, it's the end and the death. That's what Samus used to say he was when speaking into people's minds. I am Samus. It means the end and the death. So I can't really ask the question because I'm not familiar with the books, I'm afraid.
Keep my line guns, please. Thank you. Throw it so. Thank you. Okay, so it's time for your tap dance.
Unfortunately, you couldn't see my feet or hear them because I'm on carpet, but it was amazing.
He's sat in his pants as well, you don't want to see.
I am wearing shorts that are not pants. Underneath the shorts, I am wearing pants. Rest assured of that. I'm not quite sure why we're going in this sort of pant arc. What the purpose of that
I don't
is.
know, you started it.
I'm not sure
Anyway.
I did, you know.
Oh.
If only someone recorded this and could watch it back. That one?
Mm-hmm.
Have you played a game of 10th yet, Paul? If so, what did you think? No. No, I haven't.
We haven't really had time, have we?
Haven't had time, and the stuff isn't out yet. I'm not going to play it with a downloaded PDF of the cards. That will. I can't stand reading things electronically. It really. I don't mind if it's like an app where you can navigate to the right bit and it's been properly framed on the screen and rendered because it's an app. But where it's a PDF and you have to no, it doesn't work for me. So no, I won't be using the PDFs. I'll be waiting until I can get physical copies of the cards. And God knows how long that'll take, because there'll be a massive scramble to get them, as always. So I don't know which ones I'll end up getting and how soon. And so no, not yet. And at the moment, the schedule is pretty full with some Star Wars, Legion, and the rest of the second chapter of the Siege of Excelsis. So 40k may be a little while, but then again, I don't know. I might just get the urge. I am meeting up with Winters in July. That may well be my first game of 10th ed. We shall see.
And there'll obviously be some 40k played at Polfest 3.
Yes, I'm sure people will. Polfest 3.
16th of September.
Which is on the 16th of September at Tabletop Events in Belper. A day of chilling out and throwing dice with other channel members.
Yeah. Yeah, a chance to showcase a tale of Paul gamers.
And anyone who's been in the in the Discord.
I like to slip it in, Scott, from the background.
And being participating in a tale of Paul gamers. I believe some of those folks are going to be bringing their Paul gamer armies to that day to get to play those against each other. So that should be a good, fun day, a good, fun, family-friendly day.
And I think Secondborn's got something exciting planned for that part of it as well. So, which will be great.
Interesting.
Do you want to take that question from Tash Gambit?
With the arrival of Crawl, do you think that Titan variants will evolve? I wonder if there will be a vault of Primaris Titans that will be woken up and dished out. Well, Crawl was I thought he was a biologist, but I'm doubting myself now. Is he not? I doubt it, and the reason I doubt it is GW are leaning back from Forge World models, and the really big stuff they are leaning away from now, from what I can, just from my casual observations. And I haven't seen them put any real effort into Titanicus for a while, so I don't know where they would actually put a vault of new Primaris Titans that will be woken up and dished out. So I would suspect not.
I'm just putting some details in the chat about Crimson Conflux.
Crimson Conflux?
Not Crimson Conflux. It's all right.
You got it on the brain.
I've got it on the brain. I have got it on the
brain.
About Polfest 3.
Is it 3 or is it 4? I thought it was 4.
I thought it was 4, but Scott's put 3 and I trust him. Dead.
I thought it was... Oh, has Laptopia just run out of juice?
Yes. Yeah, so we're just going to put on there that if anybody wants to get in touch for Polfest tickets, then you can just send me a DM in Discord, and that will be great. Or you can email me on this email that I'm just looking for now.
This email. I'll filibuster. Someone said explain the offside rule. Well, it's when a salt shaker and a bottle of ketchup are nearer the edge of the table when a pickled onion gets flicked forwards than the pepper pot on the other side.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Okay.
We've got no more questions in there.
in where? Well, on here. Oh, let me
It's
scroll.
done on Discord, but I've done all Discord.
Let me scroll and have a look. Trying not to break into song. Oh, okay. Fraser Green has asked, what are your thoughts on 10th Ed Tactical Marines being stuck at 10-man squads, whilst Chaos Legionaries can be taken as 5 or 10-man squads? My thoughts are mixed. I mean, in the Codex Astartes, Tactical Marines come in multiples of 10, and they just do. So for my narrative reasons, I am that works perfectly well for me. But you always also have remnant units when there are combat losses in formations that are out and not returning to resupply, re-equip, and bring in new recruits. Then captains will organize their structures to have maximized fighting units. They will not necessarily leave tactical squads with 5-man, 3-man, 2-man, 4-man.
1 man
That dog went to kill some chaos. What they'll do is they'll say, right, you 10, you're now a tactical unit, and they might have 3 or 4 people left over and go, you're a remnant unit, you're an understrength assault unit or an understrength tactical unit or whatever it might be. So from that point of view, I also think narratively it's good to be able to have units that are below the max, the 10 as a starting max to represent that attrition in the field. But not everyone uses it that way. I imagine it's because GW sell them in boxes of 10, and they lean more towards making the rules match the multiples they sell them in. One thing I did notice on the cards that I briefly glanced at this afternoon is the Chaos Bikes are now down to 3 to 6 as a choice, because they come in boxes of 3. Very annoying for those of us who've got 10-man squads. That's something I'll probably just ignore and go, yeah, there's 10 of them. Bothered. Legionaries, on the other hand, Legionaries are a bit different because they could be from back in the Legion days. They could be anything from 5-man to 20-man units. Also, they are far more likely to have attrition in their units and be abnormal sizes. In the Night Lord series, and a lot of this was the inspiration for my Night Lord army, the units, or the claws as they were called, many of those were below strength and had odd numbers, and occasionally they got rolled back up into single claws, into single units to rebolster their strength. But the amount of attrition the Chaos take over time, having non-uniform unit sizes, makes perfect sense, especially given they never conformed to the Codex Astartes in the first place, which means that units of 10 were never their absolute staple. So that is what I think. How are we doing with the emergency backup?
I'm not in, but so I'll just say the email address is crimsonevents40k@gmail.com.
Is it all one word?
Yeah.
Is it all lowercase?
Yeah.
crimsonevents40k@gmail.com. Should I put it in the thing?
Yes, please. And also you can DM me in Discord and I'll get some tickets winging their way to you with some details about where to stay, and that's if you want to stay over, where to stay and where to get food and all that kind of thing.
Is it .co.uk.com?
.com.
crimsonevents40k@gmail.com. There we go. That's who to email this lady here if you are interested in the thingy gubbins.
Lady, that's polite. There's only one person that calls me that,
Who's that?
Mick. Mick the Machine. I'm just trying to get back in now, but it's taking a little while. Any more questions?
There's a couple at the tail end of the thing, but only a couple.
Go on then.
So if we wrap these up, then I think we're there. Okay, so Josh Arnold asks, do you like the whole Abnett world of warp language and perpetuals and so on? Yeah, I think that's quite interesting. I'll caveat that with I've only really picked up on it from a few of the earlier Heresy books because I've not read the end of the Heresy or the Siege of Terror yet. They're for Future Paul. I got a bit burnt out with Heresy. Future Paul will do those, but it was an interesting little bit of extra, a little bit of twist. Final question of the evening. Muldis asks, have Marines lost the combat squad rule or have I missed it? I honestly don't know. I believe the comment related to, I didn't pick up on this either, but I believe the suggestion is that you can now only take tactical Marines in units of 10. You can't take a unit of between 5 and 10. I imagine you can still combat squad them, although I don't know. That would be on the download, which is available and free, I think. I think that draws us to a close this evening.
It does. It does.
Thank you time.
It is thank you time. So thank you to Muldis for using his 10 months member chat. Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally lost without my technology. And I just wanted to say a massive thank you to Josh because he kept the questions coming, which is always great. So thank you. And thank you to anybody putting any Discord questions in. That's always good to have a look at. And let me know if you want to come to Paul Fest 4, we think.
Big thank you as always to Crimson for the admin /banter /abuse.
I've been good this week because of my hay fever.
Okay, anything else? I think we're done.
I think we're done. Yeah, we are doing an exhibition game at Paul Fest 4, aren't we?
Yes.
So that is something that I think we're still going to be doing.
Still the plan.
Yeah. So please let us know.
Okay. There won't be a stream next week. I got a medical thing I got to go off and do. But there should be one after.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thanks, Kev.
Okay. Well, take care, everyone, and we will see you in the next one. Say bye, Crimson.
Bye, Crimson.
Bye.
Bye.